And we're back, and it's COMP1073 in the winter 2016 semester, 2016, if I can say it properly, 2066 semester, how about that? And it's week 1, lesson 1, part 3. We did a bit of configuring with some of you on trying to get your Git going, and for the most part, it's the Windows users. The Windows users are going to have the problem. On the Mac side, you should be fine, yeah? Who's not well on the Mac side? Anybody? Okay, it's okay. So I'll fix you on the Mac side before we go for today. But on the Windows side, it's mostly the Windows users that have a problem, and it's mostly the environment variables that kill you. So you've downloaded and installed desktop Git as an example, or you've downloaded the standalone Git, and it still doesn't work, and you're getting frustrated. You want to smash your machine, right? Don't smash your machine, right? It's a problem with the environment variables, and if you don't know what those are, it's okay. I've looked up a little Stack Overflow, and it says here, under this Stack Overflow, by the way, it's being recorded, notice how it says git exe from GitHub for Windows is located in a path like C, users, username, app data, so on. So take a look at that. So go to your C. In order for you to see app data, by the way, if you're a Windows user, you have to make all your folders, all hidden folders visible. If you don't make your hidden folders visible, you won't be able to see your app data folder. It's just hidden, right? So that's the first thing you need to do. And in order for you to do that, you have to go into your control panel and go into folder options and change your the option to turn on all hidden folders. Okay, so that's one thing you got to do. Now that you can see your app data, you would go in there and go into local GitHub portable Git with a specific number, and instead of /bin.gitexe, it'd be /command cmd, and that would be the one that would turn it. Okay. So this is a cheat onto how to do that, but that's what it is. It's the environment variables, and I'll try and kick it off. I've had some minor issues lately, some other things with my virtual machine in Windows. I will try and kick off my virtual machine if I can do it. It'll be beautiful. I can show you right here because I run Windows virtually. So I'm running Windows 10 in a VM, right? And then I'll go in there and I'll show you how to do that in the environment variables there. Now it's going to be slightly different because if I'm using Windows 10 and you're using Windows 8, some differences, right? But very minor. All right. So let's go in there. So I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to kind of kill all this stuff here, and I'm going to kill Visual Studio that I had open from yesterday. Okay, so I got a problem with Git on the command line. I don't know. It doesn't work. How do I fix it? So I need to get into my environment variables. On Windows 8, or sorry, Windows 10 or higher, you do that by clicking on this PC. You right-click on the PC, and you go to Properties. That's the way you do it, right? Under Advanced System Settings, you can also look for Advanced System Settings if you search for that. So if I go here and I go Advanced, if I start typing Advanced System Settings, right, you can see that it'll say View Advanced System Settings. You can do it both ways, whether it's on Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows 10, right? This is where the fix can be found, right? So you go to Advanced System Settings. So when I click Advanced System Settings, I'm going to get this little dialog box, right? Notice on the bottom there's something that says environment variables, right? Environment variables, there's a bunch, it looks like a bunch of gobbledygook, spaghetti, right? You're looking at it and like, what the hell is that, right? It's crazy. There's what you want to look for is the path variable. Now sometimes, and this is depending on your system, how you've installed it and so on, it's up here. And sometimes it's down here, right? You want to grab the one that's down here in your system variables, right? And the way to do that is if I double click in Windows 10, right, you notice that there's a long line of, like a long line here. And what I want to do is I want to add to this path. And the way that I can do that is I can press my semicolon, right, as an example, and add to the back of that path. But what am I adding? I have to point to my Git installation in Windows. And if I've used my desktop tool, there's a specific place where it exists, right? So I have to make it visible. So here I am, right? If I go to this PC, and if I go to my C drive, which is pretty full, and if I go to users, and if I go to me, as an example, notice how I have app data visible, and I've turned visibility on for me to see app data. If you don't see this, you need to turn visibility on in your control panel, right? So let's go to control panel if you haven't done this, right? So here's my control panel somewhere down here, my guess. Here's my control panel home, and under my control panel, you're going to have a setting for folders, files and folders, right? And where is it here? I know. I'm trying to show it for every user, right? That's why it is a lot easier in Windows 10, but I'm trying to do it the old way, right? So people can do it in any machine, right? So yeah, on Windows 10 there's a little strip on the top, and you can make it visible. But on Windows, I believe 8 and below, you have to go and change your folder structure, and I'm just looking for it right now, so I can make it happen. And it doesn't appear that it's here in my control panel. Where is it? File Explorer. Yeah, maybe it's there. Yeah, it is here. So if I go to File Explorer options in Windows 10, and if it's also on Windows 8, it's called File and Folders. Underneath here, you have to change this manually where it says, see where it says display all sides, display the full path. Here's the one you want to change. Show hidden files, folders, and drives, right? If you click this on, you'll be able to see that app data folder, right? Okay, so this is where you get it from, in your control panel. Again, don't worry, guys. I am recording. So worst case scenario, if you don't remember this, it's okay, right? All right, so I know where my location is, right? I can find my app data. Let's go back to that location. I'm not done yet. I'm in app data. So here's my app data. Double click, right? I go into local. Double click. Here's my path at the top here. Users, whatever your name is, app data, local, right? And underneath that, I'm going to look for GitHub. Here's my GitHub. This is only if I've installed the GitHub tool. That's why I asked you to do it, right? Double click on the GitHub tool. And now you have all this other stuff here. You're like, holy crap, what is this? Well, here's this portable Git. You want to click portable Git right here. Double click. And underneath that, there's a command. This is the path, command. This is where it lies, git.exe. Okay? So in order for me to swim down here and remember this whole path, in Windows, all you need to do is right-click anywhere on the path up here, and then copy address as text. Yeah, I'll do it in a second. So copy address as text. When I do this copy address as text, I have that whole path, and I can attach it to my path variable in my environment variables and press OK, and then you're good. Yeah, man. By the way, that's for everybody. That's for people who are using the machines from the school, Windows users. Unfortunately, for Windows users, it's a little bit more difficult to get this going on the command line without using git bash, right? But once you've done it one time, it's done. It won't reset. It won't change it or anything like that. It's done for good. So where do I do that? So I've got my path, and I'll go back there and show you that again. And at the end of my path, now that I've copied it, I'm going to right-click and paste, and it copies all that long string of characters right here into the path, right? And then I press OK. And then I press OK again. And then I press OK again. And then what I do is, if I want to get my command line, I can go here and just press Command, right? Here's my command prompt. And I should now be able to go Git on the path, right? I wasn't able to do it before, by the way. I didn't care about it, right? So I use the map. Sorry. But that's how you do it. So let me do that again one more time. So you see it one more time, right? So again, I need to have it visible. So on Windows 10, you can just set your visibility settings, right? You can turn your file name and extensions and hidden items on in Windows 10 if you're a Windows 10 user. Once you've clicked these two things under the View menu in your file and folder structure, you'll be able to see your app data folder, right? And where I have to go, if I go here to this PC, I got to go to local disk C. Again, it's being recorded, thank God, right? I'm going to go to users, right? Here's my users. Here's Tom, or your name would be replacing my name. Inside Tom, you go into app data, right? Underneath app data, you're going to go to local. Under local, you're going to hit GitHub. And under there, there's going to be a portable Git. There's other ones too. Portable Git with a bunch of numbers. This is your Git. It's serialized for you. Double click there. And under that, one more step is to go into the command, CMD. That's your path on top of here. So that's the one you want to copy. And in order for you to copy this inside your environment variables, where you would find, again, by searching out advanced settings, advanced system settings. So if you go to advanced system settings down here, just search for it, advanced system settings, if I can type. There it is. If I click view advanced system settings, it'll bring it up, and you can go to your environment variables, and then you search for your path, which is down in here, or up here. If this one doesn't exist, use this one, right? And double click on your path, and at the end, after everything else, right, I've already done it, but what you would do is, let's say this is something else, I put a semicolon, and then you Control V, and you paste in there. And once you've done that, you've appended to your path, and now Git is available on your command line. That is the for sure way it's going to work. You're adding it in. If you replace, you're going to kill other things that work on your command line won't work at all for anything, right? Like you won't be able to do anything on your command line. So please don't do that, right? Don't replace. You want to append to the path, right? Okay, I've done it a bunch of times. I've recorded it. Hopefully that'll help you. And there's certainly information on Stack Overflow, right, where you can kind of get some information on how to do that online. If you couldn't do it with me, and if you couldn't make it work, now luckily I've done some of you. Maybe by the end of the day I'll do some other people, especially the Mac people. If you're a Mac person and have a problem, I can help you out a lot faster because it's a lot easier for you. Okay, or if you're a Linux person. Okay, any other questions around Git? So once we've got Git running and we've got this going, then I can bring up Visual Studio Code, and this is on the Windows side now. So I'll bring up Visual Studio Code. Here's Visual Studio Code on Windows, and this is what it would look like on the Windows side, right? So I have a previous file that I was working on. Hey, I want to download. I have a boilerplate. I don't want to make it again. I want to do what you're going to do. I want to download my boilerplate into my Windows machine right now, right? Let's try and do that, right? So how do I do that? So I'm going to go into my GitHub, right? So I'm going to search it up. So let's do this together. So here's my GitHub, and I'm going to go into Georgian College, type it in, right? I'm going to go there. I'm going to see, oh, here's Georgian College, right? And then there's 1073 lesson 1. Let's just make this a little bigger so you guys can see it. And I apologize for the broadcast. When I'm displaying things on screen, it's a little bit different looking. Let's see if I can make it a little bit smaller. There we go. And if I click on 1073 lesson 1, I can click download zip. Now that's one way to do it. Because I have my desktop tool, I could also click, clone on desktop by clicking this button. I'm just going to click the download zip for now, and I'm going to pull it down right in the default download location. That's where it's going to go right now. That's okay. I'm going to click on this one time, right? And if you notice, I can click extract all right here in Windows, and it's going to download it and extract it in my downloads. Let's do that. Yay, it's extracted. Cool, cool. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to go into my downloads, right, where I have that file, which is COMP1073, wherever my downloads exist. So I have my COMP1073 folder, and I can sort it by date modified, which is a quick way of doing it. So wherever my date modified is, I'm going to have a bunch of other crap in here. But I want to find my files. That's what I really want to do, right? So as I skip down here to find it, you'll notice it's going to have the same name as, oh, I'm looking at the wrong download. Sorry, I'm virtualizing, and bear with me, guys. When I'm virtualizing, I have two sets of downloads, right? One that's local and one that's remote. And that's why I'm seeing the wrong one. So what I want to do is I want to go to users downloads. Users. I apologize. It'll be different for you. It'll be easier for you. Downloads. And here's COMP1073, and there it is right here, right? And I want to kind of go in there and grab that file. So there's just my file right here. It's kind of 2 levels down, right? Take a look. It's like, I've got like COMP1073 master, and then there's like, it's within COMP1073 master, right? So I want to kind of go in there, right? And I want to rename this one from COMP1073 master to just COMP1073 lesson 1, right? So now I've renamed it. And I want to pull this out on my desktop. So how do I do that? Well, I've got access to my desktop here, right? So all I have to do is drag and drop, right? So move it to desktop. And when I do that, if I go to my desktop now, so I'm just going to close everything down. And I should see it along with all my game stuff that I do on my desktop somewhere. And there it is, There's my COMP1073. So once I see it there on my desktop, I can simply pull this folder down into my VS Code, right? And there's an update for VS Code, but I'm not going to take it. And there it is. There's the files that I made online. Notice how, if I click here, it says initialize Git repository, like there isn't a Git repository. Well, yeah, there wouldn't be, because that repository that I have online is my repository. This one here is another machine, and I don't have that repository locally. All I've done is download the files. I haven't cloned my repo, right? It's a totally different thing. For now, this is enough. All you need to do is this. If you can download my files and install them, or if you don't even want to download them, if you just want to look at them online, that's okay too, because if you can't keep up with me, you can certainly go up on GitHub, right, and go into my scripts folder if I was going to do a script or something else like that, or my index.html, and just look at it online. Here it is. Right? So this is another option for you. So you can follow along whether you can download it locally or not. That's what I recommend you do. So if you can't follow, if I'm going too fast for you, go up on GitHub or say, Tom, put up your hand and say, Tom, I need you to upload to GitHub. And I know I do it. Some people tell me regularly because I'll keep going, right? So I put it up on GitHub right here, and now you can see, you can follow along. If you don't have something, you can always copy and paste right from GitHub right into your own system, and you're good to go, right? Worst case scenario. Questions around this? This is the Windows side of things, right? Luckily today, for whatever reason, it's cooperating, right, which is good. And I mean that in a way that I'm pretty good at computers. I've been doing this for a very long time, more than I don't want to say how many years, but let's say more than 30, right? And I never have a problem with my machine. When I do, it makes me happy because I can learn something new, right? I'm being facetious. I want to kill my machine just like you do, right? But what I do is I sit there and I go, okay, what's the problem? How come this is not working now? Why is my virtual machine suddenly broken, right? And of course I take steps to fix it, and that's where I learn. Okay, so I mean, again, I'm going to continue now on the Windows side because I did the Mac for a while. Just to be fair to the Windows users, I'm going to do the Windows side now. Okay. So here I'm in Windows, and I've got my files just like I did before. And as an example, I haven't had a repository to connect to. I could connect to my repository online, even though the repository I have locally here on the Mac, on the Windows machine, is different. I can kind of sync up with that repository that I have online. This is the collaboration piece I was talking to you before. So imagine me as another user. I have a Mac user, and here I have a Windows user, right? My Windows user just downloaded my repository, but they want to connect to me. And if they have collaboration rights, which you can set up in GitHub, then you should be able to do what I'm going to do now. So I want to set up a local repository. So you're going to see this again on the Windows side now. So I'm going to say initialize Git repository. Okay, it's going to show me all my changes. These are all the changes that I've done locally, right? Here's all my changes, right? And what I want to do here is I want to click plus up here, right? And what this is going to do is it's going to stage all these changes. That's what it's called. I'm going to take all my files and put them in that secure Git location, copy them there, the state of my files. I'm going to take a snapshot, but I have to name it the snapshot. And right now what I'm going to say is I'm going to call this first commit this time, first commit, right? Instead of initial commit. First commit, initial commit, it's okay to use either one. It's best practice. You can use either one, and it's okay. All you're doing is you're naming your snapshot, right? That's all I'm doing here, right? I'm going to click the checkbox, and now if I set it up, I would be able to pull and push right from here, right? But I haven't set it up, so I want to set it up on terminal. And now that I've set up my Git, hopefully it's going to work, right? That's what you hope. I'm going to right-click here in this pane in the file folder section. Right-click. This is in Windows, and it's going to say open in command prompt. So let's do this, opening a command prompt. My command prompt comes up, right? And now what I can do is, because it's initialized, I can check it. If I do a git status on my command prompt, it says on branch master, nothing to commit. And what that does, it says, I've already committed all my local changes. But I want to connect to my remote repository. And the way to do that on the command line is to find it. So how do I do that? Well, I got to go to GitHub. And I should probably sign in at this point, yeah? So I'm going to sign in. Sign up. Sign in. Yay. That's what I want to do. And when I sign in, I can go to my repository. And again, I'm going to search for it by going to Georgian College. right? And I'm going to go to, when it decides to respond, I'm going to go to COMP1073 lesson 1. And now imagine me as a second user. I've got 2 commits. There they are right now. I've done one of them, that's my initial commit, and the other one that's my create README file. Remember I did that README file online. And now I want to connect to it again, right? How do I do that? I don't have any kind of directions on how to connect to this thing again, right? Well, there's a couple of options that I can use. I can do the Git tool. I can use my native tool. I can create a spare repository that gives me the code that I need, right? As an example, let's say for example I don't remember the code. So I'm going to click on here and click on new repository. Any repository I want. I'm going to call this test repo. Test repo. There we go. And if I press create repository, if I can remember, the pattern is right here. I need to do this: git remote add origin, and then the name of my repository, right, is the last piece. This URI is what it's called that I got to attach to it. So I want to attach git remote add origin. That's the file. If I can't remember, I can also look it up on Google. I can Google it. How do I add a remote to the to Git? So git remote add origin is what I want to do. Let's leave this repository open for now. I don't need to use it right now, but I'm going to go back to that other one, right? So I'm going to go kind of back up one, and I want to go to this one, right? Notice that there is my link to it is right here, right? And notice also that it says I can copy it to clipboard by clicking this button. So now it's copied. So git remote add origin, right? Remember that was what I had to put in, git remote add origin. So I'm going to go back into my my terminal, right? So if I don't know my terminal, here's my terminal, and I'm going to type it in: git remote add origin, and then I'm going to paste, right? So I'm going to right-click here and paste, and it pastes that HTTP, that URI, right? And press enter. Cool, right? It just doesn't tell you anything that everything's done. Just if it doesn't error out, you're good. And the next piece is I want to push it, right? That's good, but I haven't made any changes that aren't already up there, right? Because I've already got the exact same files up on GitHub. It will not accept them. I'll tell you right now, because they're the exact same files. So let's change something before I upload this thing. And you're going to see the changes come up here too. In my index.html, let's change something in my index.html, right? So notice how I have my hello world, right? We're going to say hello JavaScript, right? Let's change that. So hello JavaScript, because that's what we're learning in this course. All right, cool. I'm going to save that change, Control S to save, right? I don't want to do a command runner right now. Control S to save. And then if you notice on the, in my index.html, it's saved, right? On the left, you'll see that when I make a save, when I save my changes, I have one change that's come up on GitHub right here. It tells you there's an unsaved commit, or there's an uncommitted change is the right way to say it, right? If I click up here, I can individually add these things to each commit if I want to. Or if I come up here to changes, I can add them all. So I've added this into my change. Now I got to name my commit. I'm going to call this thing, here's my, I'll call this a Windows VM commit. I don't know, something that's different, right? And then I'm going to push that change up too. There it is. So I'm going to push that change up. And now, if you notice, because I've configured my remote inside my command line in Visual Studio Code, I can click the ellipses, which are right here, and I should be able to push if everything is done correctly. Now notice I haven't. It's not correct right now because I can't push everything, right? And that's okay. Let's try pushing locally down here. So I'll say git push -u unconditional origin master. And if it fails, it's okay. I'm trying to push to a repo that already exists. Show you how this can cause problems. Oh no. For the first time, you might be asked to do this. See if it's rejected. And I fully expected that. And the reason for that is because it says error, failed to push some references to HTTPS and so on. Updates were rejected because the tip of your current branch is behind. Don't worry about these messages. And this is why Git can get quite complex, right? What it means is I'm trying to push to a repository that already exists, And that already is in the exact same location pretty much that I am. I'm behind. So in order for me to push, I've got to pull first. See where it says? Git pull before pushing again. Let's try that out. So I'll say git pull. And if I do that, it's going to revert my changes. You're going to see what's going to happen. It says git pull remote branch. What's my remote branch that I'm pulling from? Well, I can simply just mention what it is, my remote and my branch, right? So my remote is master, right? So see, here it gives me an example of what to do. Git my branch, right, as an example, and it's my master branch. That's my master branch. So I can say git pull, and my remote would be whatever it is. Paste. I already have that thing. And let's see if I can do this in. If I put master in there and see if that works. There we go, right? Now it says, look, it says auto merging index HTML. Get a problem because my remote branch and my local branch are different. This is where we have problems. Remember I talked about the baton passing? That's why we do the baton passing, because this stuff can happen. And if you don't understand this, don't worry about it, because I'm going to do this over and over until I make you guys sick, right? So you guys are going to be all good, right? You're gonna be like, you're gonna have Git in the ears all the time when we do this stuff, right? So don't worry about it. All right, so let's see what happens. So it worked. It looks like it worked, right? It says conflict, add merge conflicted thing. We have to do this, right? Automatic merge failed, fix conflicts, and then commit the result. So it didn't work. So how do I do that? And there's some stuff online if you want to look and see how do I merge branches. If you actually search anything for Git online, like merge branch, Git, right? How do I do that? It'll tell you how to do it. Here's Git basic branching and merging, and it'll give you a little bit of a tutorial on how to do that. Okay. And it'll explain what each of the branches do and what commands to use and all that kind of stuff. Okay. I'm not going to do that here because it's going to take a lot of our time up, and this isn't a Git course. This is a JavaScript course. We have to do a little bit of JavaScript. But we need to do Git because this is where you're going to find all my files. All right. Okay. So getting back to this, let's not worry about this for now, and I will show you another version another day how to make that work because I don't want to focus too much on this. Let's go back to my command, my files. So what is JavaScript anyway? And one of the things we talked about, by the way, all the PowerPoint presentations I have are going to support what I'm talking about here. So I could certainly read the PowerPoints for you, but I'm sure that's going to be a very boring experience, right? So I don't want to do that. The PowerPoints are there for your reference, and actually they're a mirror of what's in the book, right? So if you don't want to read the book, you want to read the PowerPoints, I've kind of summarized the stuff that you need to know in there. It's up there. There's even some code examples up there of what I'm going to do right now, okay? So take a look at the PowerPoints as reference if you want to follow along. All right, so I've got my app.js file here in Windows, and I'm sitting inside my scripts folder, and I want to do something here for the first time. I want to, kind of send a message to the console. All right, so let's do that. And the keyword for this is console. Let's try typing it together with me, guys. Console.log. We're going to say app started, some kind of message. Notice how I get some pretty cool code hinting up here, right? It tells me in for JavaScript what the stuff I can put in. Got to undo that. Don't worry about that. That's my error because I set up in another class. I set up a hotkey when I Control S. It also transpose. So let's leave that for another day. Okay, so if I look at my app.js file, it just looks like this. But will this run? That's the question. Will it actually pump out console.log, right? And that's the question for you. Will it do it? Well, it's just a command. Think about this as I have to execute this command. And remember how if you know anything about index or your browsers, the browser goes down. Oh, I love this. This is what GitHub has put in place, right? Here's your stuff. I got to get rid of all this. It's going to fail. Okay. It's basically warning me that I'm behind. And there's two. There's hello world and hello JavaScript. I want hello JavaScript. Yes. Yes, they collided, but it showed me what it was, and I have to fix it and then merge everything together. Don't worry about that for now. Let's ignore that change. So I'm looking at hello JavaScript. So when I look at JavaScript in my browser, right, what's happening is as I go down, if you notice, I have my doc type. It reads one line at a time, like I said. It just keeps kind of flowing down this way, right? And it executes each of these commands or meta tags or whatever. And for example, when it gets to line 9, it will include my Bootstrap CSS in my project, right? As it executes, it'll render that all the CSS styles from that CSS file, right? One line at a time. So theoretically, when it gets down to line 23 here, it'll render my app.js inside of my scripts folder, right? And my app.js, it has one line that I'm asking it to do, right? Here's my app.js. I'm asking it to show app started on the console, right? So console log is like almost like a print statement. I can print to the console, and it's a great way of doing debugging. If I want to say, okay, I've gotten to this place in my JavaScript. Every time I can kind of compartmentalize my JavaScript, so I can say, when I get to this place, I want to put a console log so I know that I've gotten there, but it hasn't failed somehow, right? So this is the first thing we kind of do when we do JavaScript. Okay, let's check and see if it works. How do I test it? Well, I want to see this thing inside of my Explorer. So I'm going to right-click down here, and I'm going to find Open and Reveal in Explorer. And when I go there, it's going to show me my files. I'm going to double-click in to get there. Right, so I'm inside my folder now, and I can see my index.html here. Now, I don't need any special server to run this thing right now because there really isn't anything special about this. So I'm going to double-click. And yeah, I'll use Chrome. And when it does it, I get hello JavaScript, right? That's cool. But where's my console? Remember I said you have to get to the console by right-clicking and going into inspect. We're going to do this over and over again, guys. And if I've done things correctly, I should have an app started. Yeah? Anyone not get this? It's okay. I'm going to show you again. Why didn't you get it? What error are you getting? Are you getting anything? File not found. So it means that, and you downloaded my version?
No. I didn't download
download my version, right? Maybe. I'm sure if I check it out, and this is the problem. Check GitHub and check it with my file. Check your file with my file and make sure everything matches, right?
Yeah, I think I fall apart the Git part. So.
All right. So if you saw this part, and if you see app started on the bottom, right, that means that I was able to follow along, right? If I go back to Visual Studio Code, if I go to my index.html, again, I'm executing each line in sequence, right? When I get to the bottom, the last line, I'm executing that line, right? And the line says, show my console. All it's doing is like, imagine if I'm taking this and putting it into my index.html. That's what it's really doing. It's taking it and importing it at that particular moment in time into my index.html, right? So that's how it flows. I'm executing this command. It's an executable command, right? There's nothing for me to do. There's nothing for me to load or anything else. I can just do it right here like this, okay?
We started getting errors in those files that we had downloaded, the font awesome and the bootstrap.
That means
file it cannot load, it says no.
That means you can't find them. Did you use my repository or your repository?
After we did that on Windows thing, that's what it started. Before it was fine. It was nothing
So somehow it's not pointing at the right files. So how do I make them point at the right files? Let's take a look. So if I go to my index.html, this is where all the problem lies. The path is what's wrong with some of you guys, right? So if I say, look what it says here. If I press Control-click to follow the link, if it works, that means the file is correct. The file path is correct. If it doesn't work and if it gives you an error, file path is incorrect. So let's do that. Control and click. And if I look at it, Control-click. Sorry, I have a Mac. If I want to find this path, let's see if I can do it another way. Nope. It won't allow me to do it because I'm on a virtual machine, guys. I'm sorry.
So you should get the license.
Yes. Yeah. If you see that, if you see the path, fine, then you're good to go, right? If something is missing from here, it won't work. And you got to do that for everything, for your JavaScript as well as your stuff. And that's where your problem is. You need jQuery for you to work. If you don't have jQuery, you won't get, well, you don't need jQuery for what I'm doing, right? You need jQuery for Bootstrap. Okay?
So what we just did before to library.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, it would work without them, right? Because they're just to make our website beautiful. We're going to make our website nice looking with Bootstrap, right? Because I don't want to do my own CSS. I want to use Bootstrap because it's pretty good, right? Why would I recreate? Well, we're not doing a CSS course. We're doing a JavaScript course. So let's not focus on CSS. Let's focus on JavaScript.
Even though we've loaded the Bootstrap, your file is all down. entirety, but we're still gonna get the error. So-
The only way you get the error is if there's a path problem. So some ways, sometimes where you have to fix the path, again, depending on the system, is you may want to put a / in before it, but I would leave it this way. Before you go, let me check it, okay? Let's check it out before we go for 5 minutes. We only have a few minutes left. Okay, so cool. So I've done my first, I did my hello world, right? I did like, app started in JavaScript. If you followed along, and if it worked for you, it's all good. Let's try it again. Let's add one more thing here. So I want to create a variable, right? Because when we do programming, if we don't have any variables, right? You fixed it? If you don't create any variables and when you program, there's a problem, right? That means there's no data storage. There's nothing, right? So let's do a variable really quickly. How do we do that variable? So if I go here to my console.log, and I want to declare a variable, the way I can do that is I have to use the var keyword. So I use var to declare the variable. That's the first keyword I need. And then I'm going to call it, I don't know, my variable. Or let's call it my name. Here's my name. Now, if I just declare it like this, am I using the my name variable? Here's a question. What type is the my name variable? It's nothing, is what it is. Here's why I'm telling you nothing. In JavaScript, one thing to notice, hint, hint, this is going to come up on your test next week. JavaScript is loosely typed. So it's not like we have types for JavaScript like we do in C#, if you've taken C# at all, or Java. If you've taken Java or C# or another language, JavaScript is loosely typed. There is no defined type until I make an assignment. When I make an assignment, then it uses type inference to kind of try and figure out what I'm putting into it, right? So right now, because I haven't done anything, all I've done is initialize my variable, right? It's called variable initialization. If I assign it like this, if I use the assignment operator, which is the equal sign in most languages, right? And if I put something like Tom and a semicolon at the end of every statement in JavaScript, because JavaScript is a C-influenced language, right? We use semicolons to terminate our lines, right, of code. That's what we use for JavaScript, right? The other thing to know for JavaScript is case sensitive, right? Not like VB. VB is not case sensitive, right? JavaScript is case sensitive. So if my variable name, the variable name that I'm using here, right? The identifier that I'm using has to be exactly the way it is. And notice how I've broken up between my, which is one word, and name as a second word. This is called camel case. Why? Because the first word is lowercase and the second word is uppercase. So my name is, in this version of the way I've written my variable, is camel case. That's the practice that I'm using. And I've assigned it to Tom. Okay, now, I want to show Tom in my console log somehow. And I'm going to use the plus operator to concatenate, to smash together my two strings. I have my Tom string and I have my app started string. They're both literals, right? Here's my Tom string and here's my app started string, right? That's inside my console log. I need a string to output to my console. That's what it takes, a string, right? So what do? I use the plus operator here and I can use my name, right? My name variable. And when I do that, I should get, without these errors from myself, I should get app started, ... no space, Tom. If I want a space, I have to add a space in there, right? And I'll save. Okay, so there's my save. So now when I run it, this is my variable. And notice when I hover over with Visual Studio Code, if I hover over, it tells me that my name is a string. My name was nothing before, but because I've assigned it a string, it uses something called type inference. But by the way, iOS Swift uses the same methodology, right? It's the new way of doing things. We use type inference in most modern languages to try and figure out what I've got. And there's some basic types for JavaScript that we always use. A number type, a string, a Boolean, any, that's a type. Undefined, that's a type, yeah, any. And other ones, right? And that's why JavaScript is so flexible, and some people love it, and other people hate it to death. Like they hate JavaScript because it's like, it's a non-programmer language. You look at it and you're like, oh my God, it's so loosely typed, I hate it. I want type definitions, right? But I've done this. Let's run this thing and see what happens. So I'm gonna save everything. I'm I'm going to go back to my file here and refresh, and it should say app started Tom if you made everything work correctly, all right, or whatever your name is if you put your name in there, right? So that's really a really quick and dirty way. I've set up a variable, right, and I've set up a string, and I'm using a command to throw it into the console. So I'm actually doing my first JavaScript program, my hello world, my hello JavaScript. Questions around this? Anyone have problems?
That's why it's not working.
Right here?
Yeah. No, it's right under the equal sign. It's just like the red line.
Right here? Oh, on here, under this equals on here.
Yeah.
What's the error? What's the error getting? Hover over it. You gonna fix it for him, Ari? Are you good to go now? All right, semicolon. All right, so again, because JavaScript is a C-influenced language, again, just to recap, you need semicolon. You need the var keyword to declare my name. And here's a question for you before we go. And this is for Anju because she's in my class. I got to ask, right? Anju, what scope does my name have in this particular document right now? What would you think it has? No, just my name, the my name variable. The my name variable, I want Anju to answer. If there's a scope, remember there's different scopes. What scope would my name have in this context? Global scope, right? Global scope, because this variable, my name, is a variable available anywhere in my document now when I've created it, right? Including my index.html. Because these commands are actually imported into my index.html. They just don't sit here. Once I've attached my JavaScript file to my index.html, you can consider those commands physically inside of your index.html, all right? So that means that my name is available anywhere in my document, all right? Okay. Yes, which means I can now inject values inside my index.html with certain commands, okay? I want you to think about that. So let's recap what we've done today. We've talked a lot about Git. I know it's killing people. They're like, I hate Git, right? We've talked about Visual Studio, right? Visual Studio Code, which I recommend, right? You know, we've talked a little bit about how to structure our files and everything else in our environment. And this is good. This is a good start, guys. Even though you guys are like, it's blowing my mind. I don't understand. It's going too fast. It's okay because you've got my videos to back you up, right? You have one thing you have to do for tonight, which is create your repository. Any repository name you make, whatever. Make a blank repository just with the name. Put it into a text file and upload it to Blackboard, and you're good. You get your 2%. I paid you for it to learn GitHub, right? Copy the link into a text file, upload it to Blackboard, right? In the space you're supposed to upload it for the lab, and you're good to go. You get your, I'm giving you free 2%, paying you to learn GitHub, right? On your own. That's what's due tonight. Next week, I'm going to give you assignment number 1, right? What I'd like you to do, read over the PowerPoints, because remember, the first thing we're going to do, and I'm not going to, if I haven't covered it, even though it's in the PowerPoint, it's not fair game. If I talk about it, it might be on the test. If I don't talk about it, not going to be on the test, even if it's in the PowerPoint, okay? Because it's not fair, right? So if we've practiced it and we've talked about it, for sure it's going to be on the PowerPoint, on the test. There might be between 5 and 10 questions at the beginning of class for 5 minutes next week. Closed book, okay? Questions before we go? If you guys want to stick around for those people who have problems before the next class comes in, there's 10 minutes. I can certainly go over your problems with you before you go, okay?
After the COVID, we should see the file on our